You think your mind is your own, right? Well, if you're an INFJ, your mind isn't just a space. It's an entire house of memories, emotions, and old rooms that you never quite leave. Some of these rooms are locked away, others are haunted, and some you only visit when you can't stand the silence. But the real question is, why do INFJs carry these rooms around like baggage? And more importantly, what does it mean for your life? Let's dive in. Welcome to the strange and complicated world inside the INFJ mind. All right, first thing first, the INFJ mind keeps rooms locked away. You ever walk into an old room from your past and suddenly it feels like you've never left? Like the air still smells the same, the furniture's exactly where it was, and the memories rush back so vividly, it's like stepping into a time machine? That's exactly how INFJs store their memories. They don't just toss things into some mental attic and forget about them. Oh no, they lock those rooms away, carefully, perfectly. INFJs have mastered the art of compartmentalization. But unlike you, they don't just sweep their past under the rug, they lock it up tight. But it's not just buried, it's preserved. In their mind, it's like that room still exists. The only difference? They always have the key, but they don't know when or if they should unlock it. See, INFJs don't do casual. When something has emotional weight, they don't throw it away. They store it like an artifact, a part of their identity. This isn't about forgetting, it's about keeping it intact, because every room holds a piece of who they were, who they could have been, and they need that. It's almost as if they're afraid to let go, to let the room fade into nothingness. The fear? That without these rooms, they won't know who they are. You might think you've put things in the past, but INFJs have a different game plan. Their memories are never really past. They're preserved in time, holding emotional weight like a ticking time bomb. And when those rooms unlock, whether by choice or by accident, it's never a small thing. If you're an INFJ, ask yourself this: what room have you locked away that needs to be faced? Because the truth is, you're not moving forward if you're too afraid to unlock the doors of your past. It's time to stop pretending those rooms don't exist and start confronting what's inside. All right, moving on to point number 2, emotional attachments to physical spaces. For INFJs, a room isn't just a place, it's a feeling. It's where they lived, loved, struggled, and grew. They don't just remember the room, they feel it. The color of the walls, the way the light filters through the window, the creak of the floorboards. Every detail is etched into their memory, tied directly to the emotions they felt in that space. Think you can walk away from your past? Think again. INFJs don't just leave a room, they take it with them. Every room they've been in is stamped with emotional significance. And no, it's not just about nostalgia, it's about attachment. These places become a part of them, like an old photograph you can't let go of, even though you've moved on. INFJs are wired differently when it comes to attachment. It's not just about having memories. They attach their entire being to the space. The energy of the room becomes intertwined with who they were in that moment, and that never leaves. Whether it was a time of happiness or heartbreak, the room holds the emotional essence of who they were, and they can't shake that. It's like every room is a shrine to their past self. While most people walk away from a place and forget it, INFJs don't have that luxury. That room, with all its emotional weight, stays with them. And even years later, when they visit it in their minds, those emotions come flooding back, as fresh as the day they left. The past doesn't fade for them, it clings. And if they're not careful, it'll pull them right back into that space, making them relive what they thought was already buried. So if you're an INFJ, here's the hard truth. Every room you've lived in has left a scar. And until you face those attachments head-on, they will keep following you. The question is, are you going to keep carrying that emotional weight, or will you learn how to let it go so you can make room for something new? Thirdly, the burden of unfinished conversations. INFJs don't just have conversations, they live them. And when one ends without resolution, it's like an open wound in their mind. You know that feeling when you walk away from an argument and the words you should have said don't hit you until hours later? Now imagine that happening every single time. For INFJs, unfinished conversations are like mental landmines. They linger, simmering in the background, waiting to explode. And unlike you, they can't just move on. These conversations aren't just forgotten, they echo. until they're resolved. That's the INFJ curse. They can't let go of what was left unsaid. It's not just about being right. INFJs crave understanding. For them, a conversation is an exchange of emotions, not just words. When something is left unfinished, they feel like a piece of themselves is left hanging in the air. And it doesn't matter if it's been months or years. If it's unresolved, it's like a door they can't close. It haunts them. And until they fix it, it will keep following them around. While other types might be able to move on and forget, INFJs replay those unresolved moments again and again. It's like they're stuck in a loop, trying to find a way to get closure on something that can never be fully fixed. The burden? It weighs them down, drains their energy, and keeps them from moving forward. If you're an INFJ, you need to face this uncomfortable truth. No matter how much you want to move on, the unfinished conversations are still living in your mind, blocking your progress. It's time to stop letting these mental ghosts control you. Close the door, have that hard conversation, or let it go, because until you do, that conversation will continue to burden you, holding you back from your next step. Fourth on the list, the eternal echo of old rooms. INFJs don't just remember rooms, they live inside them. Even when they leave, these rooms never leave them. Every space they've been in, every place they've inhabited, carries an echo that sticks around long after they've walked out the door. Ever felt like you're still haunted by the past? For INFJs, the past doesn't just fade, it replays. Old rooms, old moments, they don't just exist in their memories, they exist within them, vibrating through their present. They hear the whispers of those rooms every single day. And it's not in the way you think, it's not just nostalgia. It's like an eternal echo that keeps shaping their reality. See, INFJs don't have a past and a present like everyone else. Their minds operate like a loop, constantly revisiting old places, old experiences, trying to understand them, trying to relive them. These old rooms aren't just memories, they're emotional landscapes. They revisit them because they haven't found peace with what happened there. And the craziest part, even when they're physically in a new space, they still carry that emotional resonance with them, as if they're stuck in an infinite time loop, walking through the same halls over and over. If you're an INFJ, the problem isn't that you have a past. It's that your past never stays in the past. It creeps into your present, shapes your decisions, and affects your relationships. You're not just living your life, you're living a constant echo of every room you've ever been in. And it's exhausting. Those echoes weigh you down even when you think you've left them behind. If you're still letting these echoes define you, it's time to wake up. The room you left behind isn't going to give you closure. The person you were in that space is gone. The question is, are you going to keep living in that echo, or are you going to silence it and move forward? Stop letting the past control your future. You're stronger than the echoes. Fifthly, why INFJs sometimes visit these rooms in dreams. All right, let's get real about dreams. You ever wake up feeling like you just ran a marathon? Not because you were fighting dragons or flying. No, because you were back there, in that old apartment, that childhood bedroom, that place where everything went wrong. Your heart's pounding, the sheets are tangled, and the emotions, they're fresh, raw, like you never left. Here's the truth bomb. INFJs don't just dream, they time travel. While everyone else gets weird sushi-eating dinosaurs, you get sucked back into those preserved mental rooms. The hallway you paced in at 3 a.m., the kitchen where the sounds was louder than words, the doorway where you last saw them. It's not random, it's your subconscious screaming. You left something here, come back and face it. And here's the kicker, these aren't casual visits, they're full sensory replays. You smell the rain through that cracked window, you feel the grit of the carpet under your bare feet, you hear the echo of that unfinished fight. It's so vivid, so real, because your mind didn't just lock that room away, it kept the electricity on. The lights are still burning, the ghosts are still waiting. Harsh truth? You think you've moved on. But your dreams don't lie. That room you left behind years ago, you've been renovating it in your sleep, trying to rewrite the ending, rearrange the furniture, make it hurt less, but you can't. Because restoration is a fantasy. That room is frozen in time for a reason. It's a museum of what was, not what could be. If this is you, stop dismissing these dreams as just dreams. They're not. They're distress signals from the deepest part of your psyche. Your mind is dragging you back to that room because you refused to turn the key when you were awake. And until you face what's haunting those halls, you'll keep waking up exhausted, carrying the weight of a ghost house on your shoulders. It's time to ask, what unfinished business is your subconscious forcing you to relive? Because that dream room isn't a memory, it's a prison, and you hold the key. Sixthly, the paradox of attachment and detachment. Let's cut to the chase. INFJs are masters of the emotional vanishing act. One day they're all in, painting the walls of your life with their intensity, memorizing the cracks in the floorboards of your soul. The next, Gone, like they were never there. Poof, detached, cold. You're left standing in an empty room, wondering what the hell just happened. But here's what you don't see. When an INFJ walks away, they don't demolish the room. They lock it, exactly as it was. That argument you had? The coffee cup you left half full on the table? The way the light hit your face when they last trusted you? It's all preserved, perfectly, eerily, like a museum exhibit of a moment they can't forget, but refuse to revisit. Their detachment isn't freedom, it's trauma protocol. They detach because feeling too much would destroy them, so they shut the door, walk out, pretend the room doesn't exist. But in their mind, the lights are still on. The dust hasn't settled. That version of you, that version of them, still frozen mid-breath, mid-hurt, mid-hope, is trapped behind glass, haunting them. This is the INFJ paradox. They can leave a person, a place, a dream, physically, but emotionally, they're still the curator of that room, still paying rent on a space they'll never enter again, still flinching when they remember the doorknob's chill. They don't move on, they museumify. If you're an INFJ, you've done this. You've walked out of rooms you swore you'd never return to, only to spend years sneaking back in your thoughts, rearranging the what-ifs, whispering to ghosts. Stop lying to yourself. That room isn't closed. You're just standing in the hallway, too proud to admit you kept the key. You think detachment protects you? It doesn't. It just turns you into a ghost landlord, haunted by spaces you refuse to reclaim or release. That energy you spend preserving the past, it's starving your present. You can't build new rooms when you're paying a mortgage on ruins. So ask yourself this: what detached room still has its hooks in you? What door have you painted over but never nailed shut? Until you burn the key or walk back in, you're just a prisoner in a house of abandoned doors. Seventhly, the INFJs need to restore their old rooms. Let's shatter the fantasy. You think you can fix the past, don't you? Like some ghost architect. You walk into those locked rooms in your mind, the ones stained with regret, dusted with lost potential, and you don't just visit, you bring blueprints, paint samples, delusions. If I just rearrange the furniture, if I patch that crack in the wall, if I make it perfect this time. Stop. What you're doing isn't restoration, it's taxidermy. Here's the brutal truth. INFJs don't preserve old rooms, they embalm them. They're desperate to resuscitate dead moments. That conversation that shattered, they replay it for hours, inserting new lines, softer tones, better endings. That relationship that collapsed, they mentally rebuild it, brick by crumbling brick, ignoring the termites in the foundation. They're not healing, they're performing psychic CPR on a corpse. That room you're trying to restore, it's not a living space, it's a crime scene. And every time you mentally sand the floors or repaint the walls, you're tampering with evidence. Evidence of what actually happened, what actually broke, what actually died. You're not fixing anything, you're erasing the truth. Your obsession with restoration is a trauma response. It's your mind screaming, if I can just make this right, then maybe it won't hurt anymore. But listen closely. That room is beyond repair. The plaster is crumbling, the pipes are rusted, the foundation's rotted through, and no amount of mental renovation can change the cold, hard fact. What happened there cannot be undone. Every second you spend trying to restore that room, you're bleeding energy into a black hole. You're the curator of a museum no one visits, the groundskeeper of a graveyard, and the cost? Your present becomes a haunted construction site, cluttered with the debris of memories you refuse to bury. If you're an INFJ, you've done this. You've knelt in the dust of a dead dream, clutching your emotional putty knife, trying to spackle over cracks that run all the way down to your bones. Stop, put the tools down. This isn't gentle advice, it's an intervention. That room isn't yours to fix, it's yours to grieve, to acknowledge its ruin, to smell the rot, to feel the cracks, to finally whisper, this cannot be saved. Only then can you walk out, not with a builder's hope, but with a mourner's release. What tomb are you mistaking for a fixer-upper? Burn the blueprints, salt the earth, and build something new, something unhaunted on solid ground. If you're an INFJ, the next time you find yourself wandering through these old rooms in your mind, ask yourself, what am I really holding on to?